Hello and warm welcome to the 18th episode of Consulting Without Borders Perspectives. My name is Victoria Olska. I'm your host and moderator for today's show. As the president of Gabriel Al-Salem Foundation, I am thrilled to be here with all of you today. Our foundation, the Gabriel Al-Salem Foundation, is a California-based nonprofit organization dedicated to celebrating life and inspirational work of the late Gabriel Al-Salem, who was an international consultant, a certified management consultant, and a truly global citizen. Happy October 1st to all of you. I hope you're doing well on this day, wherever you are in the world. I know it's a Sunday, a special day to unwind and learn together. A warm shout out to all of our fantastic viewers who are joining us today from various corners of the globe, even if it's their day off. Also, a warm welcome to all of you who are watching a replay of this episode at a later time. Happy to have you with us. Please feel free to drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. There is a way for you to post a comment directly on the social media that you are using. We will see your comments and questions, and we will try to address each one. I am tuning in, coming live to you today from Florida, where our summer and fall are all the same color, although we've had our share of rain lately. Today we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, so please feel free to engage with us by asking questions. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please don't forget to press the like button. That will mean the world to us, and that will help to spread the word about this broadcast a little bit broader. Before I bring on our guest speaker today, I wanted to remind all of our professional consultants that our foundation is still accepting applications for our annual international award for excellence in consulting. But please remember that the deadline is coming soon at the end of this month. You can find all of the relevant information on the foundation's website. You will find the application form, the criteria, and all sorts of other important information. The winners will be celebrated on February 1st at our traditional annual event and award ceremony. So please don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to be recognized and to perhaps add an award to your collection, whether it's going to be your first award or one of many. All right, let's get this show on the road, and let's start our journey of global insights and professional excellence. Today we have a particularly urgent and a relevant topic on the agenda. We'll dive into the strategies and insights needed to not just survive, but succeed and thrive in our fast-paced, ever-evolving digital age. Let's learn how we need to shape our skills, our knowledge, and approaches that are required to succeed in this era of dynamic change and transformation. So let me start introducing our guest speaker for today's show. He is a certified management consultant. He is industrial engineer by education. He is also an MBA graduate. He is double certified in Lean Six Sigma, but that's just the top of the iceberg because he is also a CEO at eConsulting Digital Solutions. He continues to be a leader at Exigia.com, which is a boutique specialty consultancy in Latin America. Prior to all his current roles, he also led the practice at PwC Inter-Americas, and all over has more than 25 years of experience in the consulting industry. In addition to all his professional achievements. He is also deeply committed to giving back to the consulting profession, and currently he serves as a volunteer, the chair of the CMC Global Institute, and also as the lead advisor for consulting institutes within ICMCI's Quality Assurance Committee. So please give a warm virtual welcome to Otto Acuna, who is joining us from Costa Rica. Welcome, Otto.
Thank you, Victoria, for having me here. It is a pleasure to share with your audience, and thank you for having me.
Yes, and I also, of course, I really appreciate your time today on your weekend on Sunday, and for you it's even earlier than it is for me in Florida because you're 2 hours behind. So I really appreciate your time and your commitment, and it's been great to prepare the show with you and learn about your wonderful journey in consulting, and also in helping other consultants become better, especially in this ever-changing digital world. Well, before we start, I wanted to ask you a question. From all the information that you shared with me, I just wanted to make sure. So are you really the only certified management consultant in all of Spanish-speaking Latin America?
As far as I know, yes. Latin America, from Mexico to the Argentine, there are tied to ICMCI 4 institutes currently: the US, Canada, Brazil, which is Portuguese speaking, and the Caribbean, the English Caribbean mostly. Those are the 4 institutes. In Central America, Mexico, and South America, there we have had in GI some members, but none of them certified. I don't think currently we have members in that zone. And there was a gentleman that I met a couple of years ago in Colombia, but he was a CMC, but he was part of the UK because he did a lot of business with them. So I'm not sure if he is currently even in Colombia.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for explaining this. So this is really wonderful. Actually, we have a viewer who is joining us today from London. Welcome. Thank you for joining us all the way from the UK. When we talked about your experiences, I was truly intrigued when I discovered that you manage your global business, e-consulting global solutions, through Estonia e-residency program. And it serves as a testament to the incredible opportunities presented to all of us by the digital age. Honestly, first I thought that you had some connections with Estonia or perhaps the Baltic states.
Never
and it was quite surprising to me when you said that you have never been there. Yeah. So how is that possible? And can you please share with us your journey from Costa Rica to Estonia in terms of establishing your consulting business there?
Yes. When we are in Latin America, and I think probably that would probably be the same for developing markets, we don't usually have the same facilities for building up a business that you may have in Europe or in the US. So especially when it comes to payment gateways or other features. So when I was researching the idea of having a company developed from scratch to be a global company, I started to look around, and I found that Estonia had what they call the e-residency program. That program allows you to become an e-resident. That is not um, that is not a residency to live there, but actually to have an identity that can create a company, pay taxes, and open bank accounts and things like that. So the only time that you need to reach um, an Estonian consulate or embassy or go to Estonia would be when they give you after the process and the scrutiny that you go through. They Once you become an e-resident, you have to go to either an embassy or a consulate to get your fingerprints taken and your photo taken. I did that myself in Washington, D.C. And then after that, everything, absolutely everything, can be handled virtually or digitally. So after that, you go into the business registry. You sign up with the card that they gave you with the digital signature card. Open up the company, pay taxes, report on the different things of the government, um, and then after you have the company, you can open banks, etc., all without being present in Estonia.
Yeah,
Um,
it's quite fascinating. Well, I hope one day you will make it there just to see the country.
we
But it's
are
quite
we are
amazing.
currently 100, 100 over 120,000 e-residents.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, we used to be 60,000, and it has doubled. And also with Brexit, a lot of people have opened a subsidiary or something through the residency program, so that they have one foot in Europe and one foot in England.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, maybe you can talk a little bit more then about the company's mission.
Yeah,
And I know that your mission is to level the playing field for smaller consultants, independent consultants, as it states on your website. Can you
correct.
please elaborate on this?
Sure. It has been a journey. Um, as you already mentioned, I had the luck, I would say by chance, because it was an accident that they hired me. But uh, I had the luck of having my first job in PwC originally. In that first run, of course, I was fresh out of college, and if you shut up and listen, you learn a lot of how the business is actually how the industry handles the business of consulting. After that, the to consultants, I always had very present that to consultants, one of the consultant jokes that people do is that the consultants that it is very easy to talk, but there is another thing to implement or to live with the inventions of the consultants. So in my career, I stayed the first time 3 years, went out to several multinational companies and local companies in my area, mostly dealing with consultants, because my bosses always said were, well, you were a consultant, right? So it is better that you handle them because you know how they work. Uh, and I went through that for about probably 8 years. Went back to PwC in 2000. Inside PwC, I switched from HR consulting, which is what I did the first time, to process consulting. And by the time of the some of you might remember the bubble that burst in the 2000 about the e-business. Once that bubble burst, we sat down and said, okay, what are we going to do with this? Because many of us were industrial engineers, we said, let's build a practice around processes and improvement. And we had at the time the luck that the industry went that way. So we were actually doing a lot of stuff that in our zone in Inter-Americas that was not common for other developing markets. It was only common in the big markets in the U.S., Europe, etc. I stayed there about 7 years, leading that practice. Went back to the to companies, and then in 2010 I created my own XCG. XCG competed head to head with my old mates in PwC because we cashed in what was very difficult to do for a big four. Because as I was inside, I knew what kind of things were complicated for us to deliver. So I tried to build my niche. We stayed there until for 8 years, and in that time, when you are in a big four, you have a lot of resources for knowledge, for templates to actually deliver very quick. When you are alone in as a SMB boutique consultancy, you need to put aside time to learn, to innovate, and to actually run the learning curve of the new things that the business requires. So I went into CMCGI. CMCGI is my idea originally was that this could be a feed of what was um, what was the latest talk and knowledge and content in um, the consulting world, and initially I saw it as a feed for my practice of information. I started to volunteer there, first with the certification committee, later as the professional development director, and since November of 2021, I'm the chair of the institute.
Right. So I just wanted to clarify CMCGI, that's CMC Global Institute.
Yes,
Yeah,
CMCGI, CMC
it's
Global
part of.
Institute,
Mhm.
is a subsidiary of ICMCI, which is a federation of 49 consulting institutes, and we cover the areas of the world that do not have institutes. So we are covering about 174 countries, 170 countries and territories, and we are all virtual. Uh, During the pandemic, I volunteered with ICMCI in something that was called 2020 and Beyond. And this was basically, we went to every single institute and asked, what are your issues? What are you suffering of? How is the pandemic affecting you, etc. And to make the story short, it struck me uh, deeply that there were very, very, very good consultants with many clients. Clients appreciate them, um, and they were completely caught off guard regarding with the lockdowns being able to deliver their knowledge and their services um, in a virtualized manner. So you had people who were experts in strategy or process or anything else, and they were struggling to use Zoom at the time. So um, that became, um, uh, let's say, an aha moment that I realized that with all the digitization that was happening, um, individual consultants or small consultants would be left behind if they if they don't if they didn't really invest in that. And in my practice, it took a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of waste of time also, because experimentation requires extra time. Um, and I thought of creating a global company. I was thinking on my next stage in life, and I thought of building a global company, a B2B, that didn't work with clients. We do not work with clients at all. We work with the consultancies and support them under their own brand, so that they can excel in areas that where technologies and methodologies um, could be leveraged on what they already have. So our intention is not to substitute them, is to help them complement what they already do and they are known, and ease the learning curve. The ideal scenario is when they learn and they don't need us anymore. And that's what we do currently.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic mission, and it's obviously so important in this age where we're all turning to digital world more and more, and of course with the development of artificial intelligence, it's just happening even faster. Every day something happens, fascinating changes which affect everyone, including consultants. Uh, so at this point, what I was also wanted to ask you, because it's so interesting for me, our program, we deal with consultants from all over the globe. You are our first guest from Costa Rica, and can you please tell us a little bit more about the state of consultancy in Costa Rica and perhaps in Latin America that you've been working in, so that we have a better knowledge and understanding of that particular part of the world.
Okay. I would say that Costa Rica is very similar to what I have seen in other developing markets. I would like to, if you allow me, I would like to share my screen, just one slide, to exemplify, because it is easier
Of course.
as I talk. Let me just present this. Let me see.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking also is because, of course, when people normally think about Costa Rica, we think about it as, nature, vacation, and it does have a beautiful nature. But what I learned from you is that Costa Rica also is a hub for services, and for
Yes,
example, for biomedical devices.
correct. We are a hub along with Colombia and Argentina for shared services. From, we have all the multinationals. HP has, I think, about 7,000 people working here. Amazon about probably 12,000 or something like that. Pfizer, many multinationals initiated 20 years ago as back office centers for back office operations, being Procter and Gamble the first one that landed here. We also have have a plant of Intel that does chips, and apparently they are expanding now with all the geopolitical situation. And we have, over the years, um, converted in a hub for biomedical devices companies. So we compete with, as a country, with Colombia and the Argentine for shared services in back office operations. But we are the only ones, as far as I understand, in Latin America for medical devices. And we have Boston Scientific and many other companies that slip my mind right now. So that um, that created a cascading effect with the companies that supply to those multinationals. Because one of the learnings in our markets is that in many of these multinational companies, they don't design anything. What you get in our countries is a rollout of something that was designed um, back in New York or in London or somewhere else. But all the companies, the local companies that supply to those companies, to those multinational companies, they had to step up to get to the level that is being required by the multinationals, and there is a lot of work for local consultants regarding that. Helping all the locals do the step up or align themselves with the requirements of the developed markets. Now, in Costa Rica, as in every other developing market that I've seen, happens that if you go to the US or Europe, basically you have the big fours and the MBBs. Then you have big size national or regional companies. Then you have the mid-sized nationals, which may stay in one state or in one region, etc. Then you have the small companies, and we are going to call the small companies the ones that have less than 10 people. And there are solo consultants. Now, in undeveloped markets, all these middle companies are not present. You only have the big four, and then you jumped into the small consultancies and the solo consultancies, or the solopreneurs that do consulting. One difficulty that you have when the market is digitizing and is being pushed by innovation, because the innovation doesn't affect only the consultants, it is affecting the clients. So what that makes is that the expectations of the clients for their management consulting providers is raising the bar, and they know they are being impacted by all these AI and automation initiatives, and they expect their advisors, their consultants, to be in the same tune as they are. Now, if you are a big four, you basically have the size and the muscle and the financial muscle to take 20 people or 30 or 50 people and say, okay, guys, go away, investigate what the latest and the greatest technology and methodology is, and come back in 6 months and allow us to transform ourselves into what the clients are looking for. If you are a small company, you basically live on the day to day. You have projects, you have a limited resources, so you live in the operation, and every time there is something that requires innovation, RRD, or a learning curve on technology, you struggle, because basically you have to do it on the overtime. That's where we think we can support to smooth that curve. In Costa Rica, uh, as well as in many other countries, uh, you have the big fours. They are, many of them, auditor organizations. In Costa Rica, you don't have any MBBs. You only have the big four. The MBBs, the Accentures, and others, usually come from the US for specific projects that a company needs them for. Um, and then you have the small consultancies, which are, in my opinion, relegated to simpler tasks, to less transformational projects, either workshops. They might do a workshop, they might do a strategy workshop, they might do ISO 2700 or ISO 9000, ISO 14000 guidance, but they would not be called upon transformational projects, because the perception of the clients is that they don't have enough muscle or knowledge to do it. And if you see the news, all the big fours and the MVPs, they are buying IT companies every day. That's what they are doing. They are acquiring the capability by purchasing the companies. If you are a small or a solo, you don't have that. So the gap
So,
is widening.
what strategies would you recommend from all of your experience for smaller consulting firms uh, to do so that they're not only competing but excelling on the global scale and again against the industry giants? How do they survive if they don't want to be acquired by
Yeah,
a larger company?
I would say that the the COVID time, the pandemic, was a very troublesome time, but there was also a great time of opportunity because it allowed us to um, to be aware that it isn't difficult or it isn't that difficult to to work across borders. And in that respect, what I would say for the small and the medium company is that they need to leverage on the networking. There are, usually the composition of the market is that you become very specialized with a lot of credentials in one specific item. And I myself live in a country that is very small. We have 5 million inhabitants in Costa Rica only, which is less than half of what Mexico or New York would have. So, in that respect, sorry, there is another factor that that hinders growth, and is if you are in a small market like this, you don't have the installed capacity of clients to keep doing the same thing over and over again in many companies because you don't have that many companies. If you go into the US or in Europe, you say, okay, you are specialized in X and you work all across the different states. You work in Canada or work in Europe, and there is a lot of mobility uh, doing the same thing with your specialty. When you live in a small country, you are basically, um, you have to fight against being a jack of all trades because the consultancies and the requests that you get are from A, B, C, D, X until C, and you need to choose what you don't do. And international expansion through networking with with peers from other places is a way in which your expertise can be leveraged over and over again. And I would say join an institute, whichever institute you want, because that will start getting to allowing you to know people that are either on your field or in other field from around the world. And in my case, the CMC Global Institute has been key to kind of open my eyes beyond what I already had in PwC. Because as a small consultancy, you are basically in the day-to-day focus. Um, but I have found that my GI participation, especially volunteering, so that you get to interact and know all the other members that are also volunteers, that in itself is a great growth because, of course, every market is different, but you expand your scope and the knowledge about how things are done in other places. So I would say the first thing is, I would say, network, and with that networking can come added capabilities that um, may be achieved to compete through other peers that you may collaborate with.
Okay, thank you for that. So currently there is no consulting institute in Costa Rica, is that
No.
correct?
No.
But of course, there is always a possibility for consultants from those markets, those countries where there is no consulting institute to join, perhaps the one that's
All of them could join the
in
CMC.
the region. Okay.
Yeah, we basically, the mission of the CMC Global Institute is to provide a home for all the rest of the world that doesn't have an institute.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, this is great. This is great to know. Yeah, thank you for sharing this information about your volunteer experience. I think this is magnificent that you're doing this. And again, this does not only help your own practice, but you can easier export your knowledge to those those consultants and consulting organizations across the globe who do not have the privilege of having their own institute.
Correct.
This is great.
We are, we are 100% global institute, so we will never have a gathering of all our members. um, but um, but um, because we are global, we design everything from scratch to be virtual, to be digital. There is no other way to do it. So we are trying to build a community, and we are trying to build opportunities for networking, so that beyond the training or the certification, they can get um, they can get services that help their business. Because when you live in a country like mine that doesn't have an institute, you say ICMCI, and no one knows what that is. You are actually the evangelist of what it is, what the standards are, etc., because it is an unregulated market, and I would say beyond unregulated is unaware of. So anyone can just print some cards, put a suit, and shout to the world that they are an expert.
Correct. I think we had a question just now coming actually from Anya, asking about sustainability. Since Costa Rica is known to be quite a sustainable country, I was wondering if you do any work around sustainability as well.
Yeah, initially, because the experience of XCG, my local company, was in back office operations, we started with shared services, process improvement, operations type of consulting. Within that, there is a field that deals with the sustainability. For example, in the AP and the accounts payable processes, it is difficult to get, for example, carbon accounting, which some multinationals require. Now, in our roadmap for 2023 and 2024, we have been building a community of experts that deal about sustainability, and our country people recognize it as a green country, and we have some achievements as country. For example, we have 99, or sometimes some years 100% of our energy metrics regarding electricity from renewables. We don't use any fossil fuels for that. It's a hydro or solar or any other, and we are probably because we are small, we're able at this early stage to have 100% of the matrix um, in renewables. We have also 24%, 25% of our land is a national park. So that's why the tourists come in here and they visit all these places that are very green. Um, but because of that, we have a tradition of not exploiting the environment. So we have experts that are very good at recycling, at all these uh, green agriculture, for example, or creating, um, even creating, how do you call this in English? Fossil fuels or from gas that is generated from decomposed decomposed um, decomposed organic material so that
Okay.
they can power their kitchens or things like that. So we are starting to build a community of experts in ISO 1400, um, sea neutrality uh, methodologies, and we have a couple of examples of companies here that are around circular economy. That means that the waste from companies is then processed back, reverse engineered, let's say, or reverse processed until you get it into raw materials. So, for example, all the cables from computers and other electric items can be processed back into the copper pellets that a mine would sell the factories. So we have some local technology about that, uh, and we think as sustainability is going to be very important in the next 10 to 20 years, to be able to provide that expertise as well.
Okay, well, this is great to know because, yeah, I wanted to ask whether you have any clients that you work with, and I know that you mostly work with, it's a B2B, so you don't work with end clients, you work with consultants,
Correct.
consulting companies and their organizations, and I was just wondering if any of these consultants are specializing in sustainability or impact consulting,
Yeah,
perhaps.
for ECGS, we haven't had a client that have required, a consultancy that
Hmm.
has required that. With Exige, we started to work with several foundations that are in the green space, and helping them with items of governance, of risk management, etc. Um, because our expertise was in those areas, but we did start. We have had a couple of projects that are around companies, or I mean organizations that are fully green, and one, I would say, I cannot generalize this, but I would say that um, many of these green driven foundations, NGOs, or companies, um, they are not very structured in green or in sustainability because this is just so new. Um, so even the governance and the process improvement and the process standardization do help them function better in their mission for sustainability.
Thank you very much for answering Anya's question. We have another question. I just saw it coming in from Pierre, who is also a CNC joining us today. Thank you so much for being here with us. Can you see the question, Otto? So very
Yes.
interesting discussion.
Digitize a consultant's framework to serve their customers better. Yes. Some of the there are two areas where we can function. One is with the client itself, by digitizing processes or implementing things that usually, 5 years ago, or usually if you were a process or a strategy consultant, you put the ideas and you put the design in a report, but then you kind of went to the client and say, well, find yourself an IT company that implement these ideas that I put in the report. So what you are actually doing in that is you are giving the business to a third party that will stay with the one that plays in the technology for the solutions and the ideas that the consultant placed in the report. Then the implementer, the IT implementer, takes takes the business and usually keeps with the client because of the maintenance, etc. So what we allow the consultancies is to deliver that last mile so that they don't have to call up anyone, because all our technologies are what is called low code or no code technologies. What that means is that you don't need a technical person to create or to implement those technologies. They are technologies that may seem simple at first, but they are very capable of doing everything that an IT guy can do, but it doesn't require an IT guy. So the good thing about that is that an expert, a consultant, can develop can expand on some of its services by delivering the last mile. And this actually, I always tell my clients, my partners, that it is a good topic of conversation to get back to all those clients that you already have provided service down to the report, and say, come back and say, look, how is everything? And we now have the capability of doing A, B, and C that expands on what we saw with you uh, 6 months ago or something. The other area that is helping the local consultant serve better and with more value the client. The other effect that our intervention has is that because we deal all the time with all these technologies and methodologies, there is a there is, through the conversation and through the relationship, we start to transfer know-how about how to optimize some areas of their own work. So, for example, to have something very simple, when you are creating a survey um with technology, you can do way more complex data collection and pre-work and pre-processing of the information, so that you as a consultant can analyze better and provide and speed up the production of the report. And there are actually things that we had a client, for example, that needed a dynamic form, because there were around 200 people, and there were 84 variations of the form. So uh, because it was personalized to the person. we are able to do that automatically and collect all that data into one data set for analysis. That without that tool would require 84 different surveys sent manually to every single person, and probably on the once you collect the data, the processing will be much more hefty. So we actually we're in the business of helping these companies work better, work faster, with less hours invested, not only for their clients, but for their own practice. And that is what new clients are expecting.
Thank you. Thank you for answering the question and sharing this information. So as I understand, e-consulting global solutions, your company, the way it works, you are a one-stop shop for all technological needs that a consulting company
Yes,
might have.
we try to be in the areas where we are really very good, I think. We try, if we see a trend coming up, or if we are asked by something that we didn't have in the radar, we might look into it in order to identify if this is a trend and we need to get into that. But the idea of ECGS is that we have a model most of the time where we partner with our consultancy partners, local partners in anywhere in the world, and in most cases, there isn't a cost for that, because what we are doing is profit sharing. What we are doing is, let's set a plan, let's see how your current practice can be leveraged in a way where you offer new things, and we will gain from those new things. But there is no upfront payment or upfront cost to them. So it is. We are also putting risk in there, because it is in our very best interest that they succeed, and of course we try not to have partnerships in the same area, uh, and overcrowd that, because it is a very hefty investment into helping develop new skills, the consultancy. So it is in our very best interest, one, that they succeed, and two, that they don't have a similar shop right next door, uh, because it doesn't make sense.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, so I just wanted to ask Anya, who is behind the scenes, to share the link to your company's website again. And we will also post this in the comments on the social media that we are on, because I'm sure for those who are listening or who will be hitting the replay, many of those people will be consultants who might be struggling with keeping up with all the digital innovations that are coming our way. So I really hope that they will be taking this opportunity with your company and asking you for the expertise. What I also understand from how you described your company's operations to me is that you're not looking for a one-off projects, right? You're looking for basically collaboration, long-term collaboration, because you are investing so much into this, and
Uh,
you're interested in the end result.
yeah, one of the learnings, I have always been a person who say, trust your gut. Sometimes everything seems very well, but if something doesn't exactly look right, I would act upon that. But then after that, I try to, I try to do a very deep understanding on what it was that gave me the gut feeling that this was not good. And something that we have learned, that's a lesson learned, even though we are just 3 years old as in this business, is that there are two ways to approach what we do. One is opportunistic, which means that a client asks you for something, you say, okay, I cannot deliver this, and I go and pick up someone who can help me, but we are both learning, and in my opinion, we're covering a higher risk of of not being successful. So our preferred scenario is where someone sees what we do, he sees some synergies that could be done on what they already are very good at and what we do, either to complement or to expand what they do. And then we get into a conversation where we say, okay, what are the niche strengths that you have? And what is the plan? And based on that, what we ideally would like to do is to start building that capability from scratch with the partners. That means training them, helping them out with how to position, what kind of clients are drawn to this type of services, um, so that the risk for both of us, the consultancy and us, is lower, because at the end we are a virtual company. So what that means is that we are, it could be that we are on the ground for some specific project, but most of our work is through technology. So in order to step with a hefty foot, I don't know if this is the right word in English, but in order to step very firmly as we advanced, um, we prefer that we are going over a strategy and a plan. And let me just very briefly, because I know we're going over the hour, share some experience that I had.
That's great.
I actually, that's one of what was one of the learnings, because that was an unsuccessful um, interaction, and you learned from that. We made a deal with some company, and the company, because of their, it was related to automation and to automate operations with something that is called workflow automation, or BPMN, business process management. They never had done it before, and through some connections, they put themselves in a position to start promising that they would um, digitize a very, very, very big um, government institution. Very, very complex. When I saw that, and they didn't like it at all, they said, that's too big for your first project. Uh, Even if I help you, this is going to be going up the hill, the whole project, with very high risks for you. So what we like is that we pick some of the easy projects, because the idea is not that we do it. The idea is that we transfer the knowledge through the projects, so that you become autonomous in these new capabilities. And if the process is, so what are the best clients? Clients that you already know, that or companies that are not too complex. And by that, what I mean is that the needs are going to be um, on the spectrum of complexity, on the lower end, so that it can be your pilot project in which you can participate actively and learn from that. And this has a lot of shades to that, but in general, we need to be working through a plan, not opportunistically.
Thank you very much for your great advice. And I know that we're going over the hour, but I still wanted to ask you one last question. just take a couple of minutes of your time. How, like, as an expert in your field, and as also someone who does so much volunteer work going around the globe, or working with the CMC Global Institute, how do you see the consulting profession evolving in the next decade? And what skills or qualities do you believe will be needed for success?
Something that I read, I follow a lady that her business is to teach businesses, corporates, how to buy consultancy. Because there's a lot of errors from a procurement standpoint, when they hire a consultant. And one of the things that she was talking about the other day was, how is AI going to impact? Because there's a lot of noise regarding that. And at the time she said, one, what are the things that AI would not probably do? One is contextualized analysis, at least for now. So going to the very specifics of situations, that's an area where consultants um, would be needed. Secondly, anything about trust cannot be replicated. So I would think, and this is my personal opinion, that a consultant, and speaking to small and medium consultancies, you don't need to be an expert in everything. You need to focus on what your expertise and the non-replicable things that you do, but connect it with other things where you have trusted partners, where you can um, have an approach, a holistic approach, and not be the provider of only one thing, but the whole item. The other capability, I think people need to be aware of what technologies are out there, how they are used, and how they could be of use to you. Um, uh, and thirdly, um, amplify your knowledge. And this is, I haven't mentioned this, but this is a current trend. So with the tools that we have today, um, for you can, I call it amplify. I don't think this word exists, but amplify your knowledge. Let's say that you are an expert in organizational design, or in evaluation of the maturity for sustainability, or um, even in HR areas, for you have a method for 360 performance review, etc. Now, do you create all that manually and throughout, or could you create an online application that gathers all that knowledge and your method, and actually convert it into something that is subscription based, where, yes, you have interaction with your consultancy part, but all the, I call it the carpentry, all the manual or gathering or collecting part can be handled with an app, so that you actually say, we are going to do this project. I have my app, who is exactly uh, tied to how I going to work with you, and then based on that, um, uh, provide a hybrid service that has some technology tied to the service, and your consultancy. what that usually will produce is that you enter into some kind of subscription with the client for keep using that method in an automated way. This is what the big fours are doing by getting all these technology companies. They are making themselves capable of developing on their. I actually heard already that for one of the procurement methodologies that one of the big four have, they have created an app where you put all that, it connects with the ERP, and then the client is tied to use their method into that. And actually, the application is, the name of the application is their brand. So they are going into packaging knowledge into an application that helps the client be more autonomous, but still tied to the company, to the consultancy provider.
Thank you so much, Otto. I think this is a great advice. So basically what consultants and perhaps anyone need to do is to think strategically and find where you have strengths and also opportunities in the market in which you are working, and perhaps expand all those with the digital capacities. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not switching to digital, it's expanding or leveraging what you do through digital.
Through digital. Perfect advice. Thank you so much. I saw some comments, thanking you as well from Stephen Tupper. He was, thank you, Stephen, for joining us. So very concise and thought-provoking. Thank you, Otto. I also wanted to thank you, of course, for this very inspiring discussion about how to succeed and thrive in the digital age. I also wanted, of course, to thank all of our amazing viewers who joined us today and who will be watching the replay of this episode. I also wanted to thank Anya Al-Salem, who was managing this broadcast behind the scenes and who joined us all the way from Utrecht in the Netherlands. I hope you enjoyed today's Consulting Without Borders Perspectives episode. Please remember to mark your calendars for our next broadcast on November 1st, same time. And I can already announce that our next discussion will be on the power of coalition and the shift from growth to impact. And we will have a guest speaker from Amsterdam. His name is James Winhoff. He is the founder of Elemental, a mission-first strategy and innovation firm based in Amsterdam. So be sure to stay tuned and mark your calendar so you don't miss this upcoming episode. Once again, thank you all for your continued support and engagement. We sincerely appreciate every one of you. I look forward to seeing you all in 1 month on November 1st. And meanwhile, I'm wishing all of you a fantastic month of October ahead. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Otto.